I wanted to write it at the height of the AIDS crisis, which I first came out around 1982. So the virus, was maybe 9 months old. The first time I went to a gay bar, there was a sign on the door about the gay cancer. So I never was sexual before the virus was out there. And I wanted to capture that essence. I didn't think about writing a historical piece. I'm like, I want to capture what it was like for me as a young man coming out and having to deal with falling in love, which is hard enough for someone in their early 20s, falling in love, but also dealing with this. Will you face death if you are infected? That's what it was. And not only that, you walked around the streets and people would look at gay people and they called them carriers. They made jokes like, how does a gay guy roller skate? Roll AIDS. These
Mm,
awful, awful jokes. And you were looked at, people didn't want to be near you. And I wanted to kind of capture that moment. I
yeah.
mean, unfortunately, we're getting back to a moment of that in this awful country we're living in right now, which is the other interesting thing about the book. I began this in the first Trump administration, and I didn't think about that. I was just writing about that period. And there's this force, because it's a magical, realistic thing too. And there's this force in the book called the Great Darkness, which is that thing that, caused AIDS, that caused the hatred towards people with AIDS, but is everything that is opposite of loving and kindness. And the book speaks so much to the moment we're living now because Joe at the beginning of the book is just such a victim to the virus, to the hatred of the government for people with AIDS and people who are gay. And he goes from that position of being a victim to someone who takes action and finds his voice. And he's inspired by the disco witches, who are these old 60s radicals who are part of ACT UP. Who, if you don't know what ACT UP is, it's the AIDS Coalition to Unleash Power, which is the activist organization that actually protested enough to lead the way to the medicines now that keep people alive that have HIV. I was
Yeah.
part of ACT UP, so I wanted to make that aspect of the history in there as well. It is a history piece because that's a damn long time ago, but I didn't write it that way. I wrote it just to capture this moment of my own personal history